Yes Chef Podcast, we back. Happy New Year to everybody. So we back. We about to do some good stuff right now, man. This year we got some good stuff in the making, and so y'all, stay tuned for everything that we got going on. So right now we have an amazing chef here. She's really tapped into the vegan market, because that's mostly what you do, right?
Mostly, yes.
Yes.
That is my.
So I always scrolling on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm always friending chefs, but especially the ones here in Atlanta. And so I was looking for somebody that I know that their food looks different on their page, and so I was like, look, I came across your page, and I was like, you know what? Let me see if she doing a podcast. We missed it first because we were supposed to come to you first time.
Yes, at the food truck park.
Yeah,
right?
the food truck park. And
Yeah.
you know what's funny? We came to the food truck park, but we were looking for you, and we couldn't find you.
How could you not find
I'm
me?
gonna tell you why, because your picture looks different than it does on your page.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, we was looking for
your picture looks different.
So I look different. I look
think it's
different
because
from
you
my
had a
picture.
hat on.
Well,
And
I do
really
keep my
didn't-
hair covered when I'm
Oh,
out.
and I couldn't tell. So, but we was out there because we actually because we were actually probably was right beside you, because the big fat vegan.
Yeah,
is
so
there,
I'm usually
and
right next to them. So
Yeah, and we was there, and they were like, "Oh, come in here." So we did them, but when we finished, we were looking for you. I was like, "Yeah, get you," But anyway, she here now.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean-
she here now. She's in a special spot. She in that Atlanta Food Truck Park. Shout out to Atlanta Food Truck Park too.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So, look, we're gonna turn it over to you. You just tell us how you got started. How you came into the culinary industry, and tapped into the vegan market.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I do have a story, but to condense it a little bit.
you got time.
I got time. So I am a retired military veteran, 22 years Air Force. I retired last year, officially April of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so my background, the whole 22 years was IT. That's all I did, computers
Wow.
and managing and so on and so forth. So I knew when it was time for me to transition and finally retire that I wanted to do something different. I knew I didn't want to go back or out into corporate America. So one of the things I've always been passionate about is cooking. So I'm not culinary trained,
Mm-hmm.
to get that off the table. I just have a passion for cooking. I've been cooking since I was about 7 or 8 years old. As soon as I could stand in a chair, or watching my grandmother and my aunts cook this amazing food. So definitely always been a passion of mine throughout these years. So kind of backtrack a little bit, around 2015, 16, 17, still working active duty in the military. I decided to start a meal prep business because I saw the need. I was working a job where I was working 12, 14 hours a day, and everyone around me. So I decided to do meal prep for those individuals, just prepping their meals for the week. Bodybuilders, competition people, because a lot of people I work with, fitness buffs. So I was preparing meals for them. So that was a hustle for me, a side hustle while I was in the military, and pursuing my passion. So I did that. That was semi-successful, but still working full time and managing that was a lot of work. It was very taxing.
Yeah,
so
we know.
doing that full time, part time, even though we love what we do, it's still work, and sometimes you don't have the energy needed to kind of push it. So the end of that tour, came up, and actually coming back to my final stop, which was Georgia. I'm from Georgia. I've been, Georgia's home. GA. So came back to retire, finish up my last couple of years in the Air Force. So that's when I came to the decision, hey, maybe I need to revisit this meal prep thing again because people are asking me about it. They knew it from previously, and they were like, because I was in Texas at the time. Everybody in Georgia was like, "Whoa, what about us?" You know. So as soon as I touched down, they're like, "Hey, what about that meal prep business?" You know, whatever. So I'm like, I'm still doing the military thing, so I really don't want to jump back into it because I remember the work prior. So I kind of sat on the idea. Retirement came, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna revisit it. So I was just sitting in the car. It was during Christmas of 2019. We went to Florida to visit my family. And I was cooking as usual. I'm like the primary cook when it comes around to the holidays and stuff. And me and my brother was having a discussion, and he was like, you know, you cook very well. You love to cook. Yeah. Have you ever thought about blogging, like sharing recipes and stuff? And I was like, no, not really. And he gave me some examples of people. And one of the names he mentioned, which I did have an interest in and started following, was Chef Risha. You know, Chef Risha. Started following her, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, she's creating recipes, sharing them, and people are cooking them, and they like getting excited about it and sharing. I was like, that might be a good idea. So I sat down on a road trip back home to Georgia from Christmas break. I sat down. I came up with a concept because I wasn't driving. I was in the passenger side. Had my laptop going, my tablet. And I just started with a logo, created a logo, this logo you see right now. Yeah. I created that. And I was like, this is what the name I'm going to go under for my blog and my blog site. So Dish Palate I don't even know how I came up with Dish Palate. Like, it was just, it rolled off the tongue. And I was like, Dish Palate, that's what it's going to be. So created a logo, created a website. And kind of went from there. I started sharing recipes. People were interested in, like, wow, okay. So I did that for a while, and then people were like, not a while, like a couple weeks. And people were like, well, in a couple weeks. It was there. People were like, well, these recipes are good and all, but I want you to cook for me. I don't want to cook. So I'm like, okay, here we go back again, revisiting me cooking and all of that. So I was like, maybe I should really look into this. So I was like, let me start the meal prep thing. So I kind of started with it, took a couple customers, like, hey, I'm gonna make these meals for you, whatever. And the reception again was very well. And they're like, okay, this is good. Like, you need to continue doing this. And I'm like, well, if I'm gonna continue doing this, I need to be more legit about it, you know. So I decided to join a commercial shared kitchen, Prep ATL. Shout out to them. They helped me get started. So I moved on to that, the shared kitchen. Then I went from recipes to a meal prep business. So just ramped. And I'm talking about, this was in a matter of less than a month, just kind of bouncing through. Less than a month. We talking about concept, Christmas or end of the Christmas 2019, rolling into 2020 January with the concept and the idea and just starting a business. So January 1st, I put it out there. Dish Palate Meal Prep Service is now open. So started doing that.
So see, this is what we always say on our podcast all the time. Like when you're tapped into something that you love, why not make a business out of it? Because you don't know where it's going to take you. You know, that's what I did. That's what you're doing. You know, and people gotta understand, like, with everything that's going on right now, you know, you don't know if you're gonna have your job today or tomorrow. Like, whatever you love, you need to figure it out to the point that you can make a business out of it. And that's exactly what you did. You know, and you liked it, but you didn't know it was gonna go as far as you.
No, I had no idea. So I definitely, with the meal prep, that went in. I had a few customers, gained new ones, and at the time, you know, my menu was pretty open, so I was cooking everything, you know, just a wide range, and I was putting out menus every week, like, this is your options every week. So did that. I did that for what, a month, 2 months, and then COVID. Pandemic hit. March, lockdown, shutdown, and I'm like, oh man, did I make the right decision? Because now my business is about to take a huge hit because now all this uncertainty, people not trusting people, food, like not trusting anybody to make my food right now. I don't even know how I can contract COVID. So that's what it kind of went to. I still had my faithful customers that trusted me, but I wasn't gaining new customers at the time. So one of my mentors that I linked up with, Alicia, Zen Foods Atlanta, I don't know if you've heard of her, but linked up with her because she was working in the shared kitchen and she was doing vegan meal prep. So we kind of latched on to each other.
Hit them up.
Yeah.
Hit them up?
Yeah, we need to try to get them on the show, actually.
Yeah. You can get them on.
Okay.
Especially after this.
Okay. That's what's up.
You hear that? So we gravitated towards each other because we had a lot of similarities in our ideas, how we cook, you know, the passion we had behind it. And at that time, I was like, man, because she had a customer, you know, they had a customer base because she had been in business longer than me.
Right.
So she was like, I went to this town hall and for Atlanta Food Truck Park, the owner, and she was like, she's about to open a food. She got permission to open a food truck park during the pandemic.
Yeah, we're trying to get her on.
Yeah. She's allowing vendors to come in and do like grab and go meals, like pick up and go, under strict guidelines because she was approved by the mayor to open. And I was like, well, I've never done anything like that before, but I'm definitely interested, especially with me starting this business and I need to start generating something, you know. So that decision kind of changed my life totally because I went from meal prepping to out at the food truck park under the tent, vending, selling plates or whatever. So that was interesting because the very interesting part about that, and I think that's what brought me to my journey back to veganism because I'm not new to it. I kind of stepped away from it for a little bit. So the part like a year or so prior had transitioned to a vegan vegetarian part because the owner became vegan. So she was like, you can come out, but if you come out, you gotta be vegan, vegetarian, or pescatarian at the time. And I was like, yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, that's primarily my menu anyway. So I started bringing my meals out. Nobody knew me. There were chefs out there that they all had relationships, you know, and experience. So they were out there. They had their customer base. They were coming, and I'm sitting here alone, like, somebody try my food, please, please, please. So it kind of just grew from there. People trying my food and like, oh, this is good, you know, it's really good. And even though I was bringing seafood out, people were buying the vegan food. So they were more interested in the vegan and vegetarian food versus the pescatarian side. So I was like, well, maybe this might be my calling, you know, to gear more towards that. And not only just geared towards it, but to actually live the life again, live the lifestyle. And so, because that would, you know, increase my creativity in the kitchen because now I'm vegan. So I slowly started my transition back. And we're talking about February now. February, March. Now things is, I wouldn't say relaxing because Atlanta's been on their own thing with the pandemic, but things relaxing a little bit more in the park, opening up more and more around the springtime. So I started broadening my horizons, bringing out new things on the menu, and it was just started to boom, you know. And it was literally almost like overnight how that happened, like, because I was bringing out new items every week and just people enjoying it. I don't know if the buzz was going around or so on and so forth, but more and more people kept coming out to the park every weekend, trying our food, and not just me, other vendors as well, but just to experience it and give me all that good feedback, you know, just kept fueling me and pushing me more. So we fast forward to April, May time frame. Now I'm making another decision. Is this something I want to continue to do? Vending, you know, tent vending, which I have nothing against. It built character, I tell you that. Right. Dealing with the elements, we were out there in the rain, we out there, you know, dealing with. So it built character. But I was like, I need to start thinking about what I want more, even though it's moving so fast. What do I want with this? Do I want a restaurant? Do I want a food truck? What do I want? You know, so I was like, right now with a storefront, I don't think I'm ready for that. There's a lot that's involved. You can't run it by yourself, you know. You got a lot of overhead, you gotta hire people. So I was like, I'm not quite ready for that. I'm still new to this.
Right.
But I'm like, maybe I can handle a food truck or food trailer. That might be for me a possibility. And you know, I talked it over with my husband. He's always been 100% supportive of all my crazy ideas, or you know, my entrepreneurship adventures, I call them. So he was like, go for it, you know.
Yeah.
So with the support of my family, it happened. It's like, let's do it.
Out good.
Like, let's do this food truck then.
Yeah.
So I got the buy-in and the assistance to go and purchase a food trailer, and found a good guy in Atlanta area to build one from scratch for me. I mean, from ground up for me. So that kind of started, and we're talking about now, this is June, July time frame. I made that decision. So very fast. In the summertime, and what the best time, right?
Yep.
For a food truck.
Yeah.
And so I had my trailer ready by the summertime, and business started booming. And I mean, I'm so thankful and grateful, you know, for all the experiences, all the people that kind of guided me to this direction, all the encouragement, because I would not have known I would have made it here. Now we're entering 2021, and now I'm thinking about expansion, things like that, like a whole year later. Through a pandemic, it's been a wild ride, but definitely rewarding, and I wouldn't change any of my experiences for the world.
Wow, man. Hey, and see, just like I just said, bro, like, wouldn't we preach that all the time? Like, we always saying that.
Bro, we just had a convo about that, you know, just talking about
that people need to tap into what they love and make a
Exactly.
business out of it. You know what I'm saying? And with that, the more support is even better. Because when you have more support, it takes you far. I got more support. Shout out to my kids and my wife.
Yes.
So, yeah, man. So, you got any questions? I know you got something.
I mean, I ain't got a lot, but man, for starters, that what keeps your drive and determination to just keep focused? Cause we, like, with our profession, like, we know how it is, and we know that, you know, day in, day out, like you was just saying, like, how it is, like, just to constantly do this. But then what gives you your focus to make you say, I'm gonna just keep going?
And like you say, y'all understand it. Like, it's mentally and physically taxing.
Yeah.
You know, to run a business, but to be a chef, I put us in another category, because we're cooking, we're making all the decisions. We have to stay consistent, you know, and people gonna let you know when you're not consistent, you know.
Exactly.
So we go through all those pains, but at the end, we're human just like everybody else. We make mistakes. We have to learn and grow. Because when I first opened that food trailer, that grand opening was crazy, but it was crazy because I had built, you know, a customer base before it, and so all that buzz, like, I had like 200 plus customers that day that came through, and I was the only cook. I cooked for everyone that came through. Was it a wait? Now, a lot of people complain about the wait, but that was my very first opening. So one complaint, I didn't have any complaint about the food. So that's what we look for as chefs. But to go back to that, to how I stay motivated,